Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Omar Sachedina, and I'm pleased to be your MC this evening. The program is about to begin. Please take your seats. Vos Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, je m'appelle Omar Sachedina et je serai votre présentateur ce soir. La soirée s'apprête à commencer. Veuillez vous asseoir. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Omar Sachedina. I am pleased to be your MC this evening. The program is about to begin. Please take your seats. Vos Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, je m'appelle Omar Sachedina et je serai votre présentateur ce soir. La soirée s'apprête à commencer. Veuillez vous asseoir. I am delighted to welcome the recipients of the 2019 Global Pluralism Award to the stage. Je suis ravi d'accueillir les lauréates et les lauréats du Prix mondial du pluralisme 2019 sur scène. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for His Highness the Aga Khan, Chair of the Board of the Global Center for Pluralism, and Mrs. Meredith Preston McGee, the Center's Secretary General. Vos Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, veuillez vous lever pour accueillir Son Altesse l'Aga Khan, Président du Conseil du Centre mondial du pluralisme, et Madame Meredith Preston McGee, la Secrétaire Générale du Centre. Please take your seats. Veuillez vous asseoir. The Secretary General of the Global Center for Pluralism, Mrs. Meredith Preston McGee, will now make introductory remarks. La Secrétaire Générale du Centre mondial du pluralisme, Madame Meredith Preston McGee, va maintenant prononcer le mot d'ouverture.
Your Highness, Right Honorable Adrian Clarkson, Right Honorable Michael Jean, Right Honorable Joe Clark, Honorable Elizabeth Dowdeswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, Excellencies, and friends of the Global Center for Pluralism. I'm delighted to welcome you here tonight on behalf of His Highness the Aga Khan and the Board of Directors of the Global Center for the second Global Pluralism Award. I'd also like to take this opportunity to welcome those viewers who are watching this live streamed online. I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered here in Ottawa on the traditional lands of the Algonquin peoples. I'm Meredith Preston McGee, and I'm the new Secretary General for the Global Center for Pluralism. Thank you. Thank you. My wonderful predecessor, John McNee, is with us tonight, and so I wanted to begin by thanking John. Where are you, John? John, I owe you a huge debt of gratitude for your exceptional leadership in steering the Center from its infancy to the global reputation it enjoys today. As many of you know, the Center is a public-private partnership between His Highness the Aga Khan and the Government of Canada. Avec le soutien de nos fondateurs, le Centre est un rassembleur. Nous réunissons les décideurs politiques, des éducateurs, des activistes et des universitaires pour échanger des connaissances et apprendre comment bâtir des sociétés plus pacifiques, prospères et fructueuses, dans lesquelles la diversité est respectée. Ce soir, nous pouvons apprécier les efforts du Centre et réunir tant défenseurs du pluralisme. Since joining the Center last month, I've had the profound privilege of learning more about these 10 exceptional recipients of the Global Pluralism Award. Chosen by an independent jury from over 500 submissions, their dedication and passion is deeply inspiring. But most of all, their initiatives offer us creative and positive solutions. These are 10 concrete examples of exceptional individuals and organizations who envision a world where differences are valued and diverse societies prosper. I believe that all of us in this room share that vision. We must all be concerned, however, that this vision is not shared in many societies in which our recipients are working. We at the Center are immensely proud to be able to support these recipients to continue to make the compelling cases they are making for pluralism in these challenging contexts. The 10 recipients are doing such varied work that they're difficult to summarize, but a number of common threads weave them together, and I wanted to share a few of these with you tonight. Several of the organizations stand out for the innovative ways that they are approaching peace building and reconciliation in volatile contexts. In Myanmar, the Center for Social Integrity is empowering ethnically diverse youth from conflict-affected regions to be leaders for change. The conflict prevention and leadership training that they are providing to youth is unique in the country. The Learning History That Is Not Yet History network in the Balkans has developed approaches to history education that help both teachers and students reconcile with the painful, controversial, traumatic history of the wars in their societies. And in Bangladesh, despite challenges of discrimination and social unrest, Rupantur is mobilizing vulnerable populations at the grassroots, especially women and youth, to advocate for their rights and fight for social change. Empowering the next generation of leaders is another common theme throughout this group, and a theme that is particularly dear to our hearts. Using virtual exchange, Celia from the United States is bringing together young people across cultures and continents in structured online dialogues designed to build empathy. The Afghan National Institute of Music gives marginalized children and youth access to high-quality musical and academic education in a co-educational environment, supporting their full inclusion in Afghan society. And in France, Singa supports a new generation of newcomers to build lasting personal and professional relationships with their host communities through mutual interest. Finally, Deborah Ahinkora from Ghana is helping African youth see their own experiences, see themselves reflected in African children's literature, contributing to their sense of belonging, well-being, and pride. A third theme is bridging divides and bringing together people who would not normally sit at the same table, something that is absolutely critical for our mission for pluralism. Onboard Canada is a particularly compelling example. Their board governance, training, and matching programs are giving underrepresented individuals opportunities to sit at the table with not-for-profit and public sector boards for the first time. And in Lebanon, the Adyan Foundation is breaking down religious barriers, connecting people with different beliefs to share experiences and develop trust and understanding. And the Artemisia Foundation in Hungary is tackling the social exclusion of Hungary's most disadvantaged populations by creating groups that welcome Roma, migrants, and refugees. Whether building peace, enabling youth, or bridging divides, the award recipients are all committed to pursuing pluralism every day. This work is challenging, sometimes dangerous, and too often goes unnoticed and unrewarded, but not tonight. A compelling example of this, however, is that just this week, one of our recipients has been unable to travel to Ottawa to join us here tonight, as he and his network of pluralism champions in Lebanon are working to support dialogue in the midst of the evolving situation there. We're very pleased that one of his partner colleagues has agreed to join us to accept on their behalf. But I would like to briefly quote from his views on the situation in Lebanon, a reminder to all of us about the positive and solution-oriented engagements of our recipients. And I quote, "This dramatic situation also has its positive side, that it is bringing Lebanese from different communities and regions in solidarity with one another to claim real change, facing corruption and populist sectarian politics," end quote. This is why the Global Center for Pluralism believes it's critical to continue supporting the work of the recipients beyond this ceremony. Over the past year, the Center has helped give international profile to the accomplishments of our 2017 winners. With Afro-Colombian victim rights activist Leonor Palacios Asprilla, the Center has co-sponsored the screening in Colombia and Canada of a feature-length documentary about his work. It's a film that I believe should be required viewing for all peacemakers. This has helped increase visibility and support for his efforts to seek justice for the victims of the Colombian conflict. The Center has also supported the production of a report on family reunification of refugees in Australia with 2017 winner Daniel Webb, and will support a further launch in early 2020. Finally, 2017 winner Alison Duritu has developed and launched a manual for women community mediators in armed conflict in Africa, and is currently training women in several African countries. We look forward very much to working with the 2019 recipients over the next year and beyond to help broaden their reach, new partnerships, and increase the impact of the incredible work that they're doing. Finally, I would just like to say that we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to the Right Honourable Joe Clark for his leadership, and to our distinguished jury, represented also here by His Worship Mayor Nahid Nenshi. for the countless hours of thoughtful discussion and decision-making that have led us here with these 10 exceptional recipients. On that note, I'm delighted to welcome another lifelong champion of pluralism to the podium, His Highness the Aga Khan. Votre Altesse, bienvenue.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Right Honourable Adrian Clarkson, the Right Honourable Michel Jean, the Right Honourable Joe Clark, the Honourable Elizabeth Dowdeswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, Excellencies, friends of the Global Centre for Pluralism. It is a great pleasure to welcome you this evening to the second Global Pluralism Award ceremony. Thank you, Meredith, for the warm introduction. On behalf of the Board of Directors, we are delighted that you have joined the Centre as Secretary General. This evening we are honouring 10 remarkable organisations and individuals. Some have come from as far away as Myanmar, others are working right here in Canada. Their areas of focus are diverse and include history education, music, political empowerment, and virtual exchange. Taken together, this outstanding group of recipients represents a new wave of leadership working around the world for a brighter future free of exclusion and division. Excuse me. The award should serve as a reminder that we can all take steps in both our personal and professional lives to foster a more positive and productive response to the changing diversity in our world. A more inclusive, understanding approach to diversity is needed more than ever today. The award offers examples to inspire how we take on that challenge. This year's recipients join the inaugural group of honorees from 2017 to form a growing global community of pluralism leaders. Their stories and expertise are being shared in all parts of the globe, illustrating how pluralism can be put into practice even in the most intractable situations. The 3 award winners are receiving $50,000 each to further their endeavors. The Centre will collaborate closely with them over the next year to help amplify their important work. By bringing their stories to an international audience, the Centre aims to help deepen awareness of their accomplishments and connect them to global partners. Shortly, we will have the opportunity to learn more about each of them. But first, I would like to salute the international jury. The jurors had the very difficult task of selecting 3 winners and 7 honourable mentions among a very impressive pool of submissions. Their diligent work in selecting these 10 from over 500 submissions received from 74 countries is very much appreciated. I congratulate the jury's skillful chair, former Canadian Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Joe Clark, as well as its other distinguished members, Ms. Paula Gaviria Betancourt, Dr. Siva Kumari, Dr. Tarek Mitri, and His Worship Nasheed Nenshi, and Ms. Pascale Tumirel. Finally, I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us for what will certainly be a dynamic evening of celebration and storytelling. I invite you to sit back and let the achievements of the Global Pluralism Award honorees inspire you and move you. Thank you.
A short film featuring the members of the International Award jury will now be screened. Un court-métrage en compagnie des membres du jury international sera maintenant présenté.
We have moved from a time in which there was at least a general acceptance of difference to a time when there is a fear about it and very often a contesting of it. We all have a particular concept as to how the world works, and this has shown me how the world doesn't work at some extremes and what needs to be done to make sure that it will work better.
Belief in pluralism is not just about us living with people that are different peacefully. It's about considering diversity as something that gives us a better sense of who we are. Pluralism is also about the fact that we have so many things in common, but we are at the same time different.
I think the personal passion that some nominees had to almost singularly fight to establish for something, and the grit it takes against quite adversarial conditions were quite impressive.
Los nominados tienen algo en común y es una enorme pasión por lo que hacen, por sus comunidades, pero también un enorme compromiso con transformar esas realidades y una dosis enorme de creatividad.
The nominations are fascinating because they're global and they're also incredibly broad. From tiny little startups that are trying to impact one community to people and organizations who already had impacts in an entire continent or indeed across the world.
To see how people demonstrate so much courage and determination to fight violence and ignorance so that pluralism can be the mainspring for social cohesion. It makes you believe in humanity.
One of the great advantages of the awards is that they symbolize what pluralism is about. People who are doing things that you never really, on the one hand, thought were possible, but also didn't think were extraordinary until you understand the circumstances in which people are showing that kind of either interest or respect.
It is my pleasure to introduce you to the 7 honorable mention recipients of the Global Pluralism Award. His Highness the Aga Khan and Mrs. Meredith Preston McGee will present their certificates. J'ai le plaisir de vous présenter les 7 mentions d'honneur du Prix mondial du pluralisme. Son Altesse l'Aga Khan et Madame Meredith Preston McGee leur remettront leurs certificats. Adian Foundation of Lebanon promotes cultural and religious diversity through grassroots initiatives in education, media, public policy, and intercultural exchange, accepted by Mr. Ayman Mahanna. La Fondation Adian du Liban favorise la diversité culturelle et religieuse à travers des initiatives communautaires dans les domaines de l'éducation, des médias, de la politique publique et de l'échange interculturel. La mention d'honneur est acceptée par M. Ayman Mahanna. The Afghanistan National Institute of Music transforms lives, promotes peace, and restores music to Afghan society, provide training in traditional and Western classical music to children from diverse backgrounds, particularly orphans, street vendors, and girls, accepted by Dr. Ahmad Sarmast. L'Institut national de la musique d'Afghanistan transforme des vies, fait la promotion de la paix et restaure la musique dans la société afghane en offrant de la formation en musique traditionnelle et occidentale classique à des enfants de divers milieux, des orphelins, des vendeurs de rue et des filles. La mention d'honneur est acceptée par M. Ahmad Sarmast. Artemizio Foundation advances the social inclusion of Hungary's most disadvantaged populations, including youth from underprivileged backgrounds, Roma women, migrants, and refugees, through intercultural education and mentoring, accepted by Ms. Anna Weg. La Fondation Artemizio favorise l'intégration sociale des populations les plus désavantagées de la Hongrie, y compris les jeunes de contexte défavorisés, les femmes roms, les migrants et les réfugiés, et ce, en faisant de l'éducation et du mentorat interculturel. La mention d'honneur est acceptée par Madame Anna Weg. Onboard Canada, a program of Ryerson University's Chang School of Continuing Education, supports more diverse leadership on Canada's boards with governance training and board matching programs, accepted by Dr. Elaine Lam. Onboard Canada, un programme de la Chang School of Continuing Education de l'Université Ryerson, encourage un leadership plus diversifié au sein des conseils d'administration au Canada, en offrant de la formation à la gouvernance et des programmes de jumelage avec des conseils d'administration. La mention d'honneur est acceptée par Madame Elaine Lam. Rupantar, the largest awareness and social mobilization organization in Bangladesh, works for democracy and just governance through mass participation, accepted by Mr. Rafiqul Kokan. Rupantar, la plus grande organisation de sensibilisation et de mobilisation sociale au Bangladesh, travaille pour la démocratie et la gouvernance juste à travers la participation de masse. La mention d'honneur est acceptée par M. Rafiqul Kokan. Singa from France, a citizen movement, supports refugees and migrants in 22 European cities to create meaningful relationships and professional networks in their host countries, accepted by Ms. Alice Barbe. Singa, de la France, un mouvement citoyen, soutient les réfugiés et les migrants dans 22 villes européennes, afin qu'ils développent des relations significatives et des réseaux professionnels dans leur pays d'accueil. La mention d'honneur est acceptée par Madame Alice Barbe. Solia from the United States uses virtual exchange to bring cross-cultural experiences to youth around the world, preparing the next generation to engage constructively across differences and lead with empathy. Accepted by Ms. Waidehi Gokhale. Solia des États-Unis utilise l'échange virtuel pour faire vivre des expériences interculturelles à des jeunes du monde entier, préparant ainsi la prochaine génération à entrer en contact avec la différence de façon constructive et à diriger avec empathie. La mention d'honneur est acceptée par Madame Waidehi Gokhale. Congratulations to all of the honorable mentions. Félicitations à toutes les mentions d'honneur. I am now delighted to introduce the winners of the 2019 Global Pluralism Award, the Center for Social Integrity from Myanmar, Ms. Deborah Ahenkora of Ghana, and the Learning History That Is Not Yet History Network from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Montenegro, and Serbia. Their work will be presented in a series of 3 short films. J'ai maintenant le plaisir de vous présenter les lauréats et la lauréate du Prix mondial du pluralisme 2019. Le Centre pour l'intégrité sociale du Myanmar, Madame Deborah Ahenkora du Ghana, et le réseau d'apprendre l'histoire qui ne fait pas encore partie de l'histoire de la Bosnie-Herzégovine, de la Croatie, du Monténégro et de la Serbie. Leur travail sera présenté par une série de 3 courts-métrages.
Myanmar is a uniquely diverse nation. We have officially more than 135 ethnic minority, and we have more than 110 languages. Also different political ideology and diversity in terms of religions. At the center of Yangon city, where you will see a mosque next to a church and a church next to a Buddhist temple, neighboring a Hindu temple. What I'm trying to say here is Myanmar is a very diverse nation, but pluralism has been always threatened by different factors. People, they need food, they need shelter, and also power. That is why they fight each other. The challenge that we have been facing as a nation in Myanmar, we have 70 years long civil war that has been rooted from a difference of ethnicity or religions or language. Lately onward from 2012, you can see the narrative in the headline of the international news, the Rohingya crisis as well, and followed by 1 million people fleeing to Bangladesh. So these people, they are struggling to survive. They run away to escape from battles, to escape from being looted or being burned down their houses and things like that.
There are a lot of communities in Myanmar who are also suffering, who have also gone through 60 years of dictatorship, who have also been traumatized by systematic abuses, and are also still reeling from the devastating impacts of violence.
It's rooted from a very simple fact that we do not recognize each other's strength, that we are different. In a country like Myanmar, which is very rich in terms of its natural resource and is strategically located between China and India, the human value is very less. And we time to time see just because we are different from one another, we are less human. So we need to break out this kind of mentality through promoting of pluralism. Center for Social Integrity is founded with the idea of promoting pluralism, diversity, and inclusions in every center of its program.
We first started hearing about the Center for Social Integrity in the aftermath of the 2017 violence, when more than 700,000 Rohingya were forced out of Myanmar, out of Rakhine State, into Bangladesh. There were quite a lot of issues with access for humanitarian aid and development aid. The center was one of the few organizations that was able to have access.
Where we cover ranges of projects that include social change, dialogue, and fostering the tolerance among different diverse groups. We are trying to empower community, build their resilience through this peace and conflict initiative. We believe that building peace, promoting pluralism, celebrating diversity, these are not a standalone concept. These are interconnected with different human needs that include biological and physical needs.
We recognize what the problems are with humanitarian and development models. For the most part, it is internationals coming into a context, believing that they have the answers to the community needs. I think what sets CSI apart in their approach is you're working with people who are already from these communities. You have people who have much better understanding around how communities will react when you bring in resources from the outside, and how bringing in these resources will affect power dynamics and the way that communities already interact with each other.
I would say 80% of our staff members come from the community. And who would better understand their own problem than the community itself? A lot of youths are misused and their potential are destroyed by the decisions that are being taken on behalf of them. We need generation change leaders.
The Center for Social Integrity has a transformative leadership program. They choose young people from conflict-affected areas, people from the different ethnic minority groups, and provide them with the opportunity to undergo a training process on leadership, on the basics of conflict and peace, in recognition of the fact that it will be these young people who will provide opportunities to change the way that their communities think in the aftermath of conflict.
We can connect young leaders to exchange the views and to understand each other's struggle. I was very much afraid that I will not be able to bring people together in the same room to talk. I was fearful that they will be allergic to these values in this era, especially where there is a lot of political change ongoing, and these values are usually undermined with xenophobia and Islamophobia. I believe in change. Additionally, I believe in transformations. And I see change and transformations not only result, it's a process that we need to move forward with. In shaping the world to be a better place for everyone to live, youth, regardless of who they are, plays a very critical role. It's a long way forward, as he says, but it's need to come from a very grassroots level, attitude change, mindset change of the people. An ordinary youth could do extraordinary work and contribute to a nation extraordinarily when they're empowered. So that's what I'm trying to do.
I am honored to welcome to the stage the 26th Governor General of Canada and the Global Centre for Pluralism's board member, the Right Honourable Adrienne Clarkson. J'ai l'honneur d'accueillir sur scène la 26e gouverneure générale du Canada et membre du conseil d'administration du Centre mondial du pluralisme, la très honorable Adrienne Clarkson. The Center for Social Integrity, represented by founder and executive director Mr. Ong Ja Mo, will now be presented with the Global Pluralism Award by His Highness the Aga Khan and the Right Honorable Adrian Clarkson. Le Prix mondial du pluralisme sera maintenant remis au Centre pour l'intégrité sociale, représenté par son fondateur et directeur exécutif, M. Ong Ja Mo, par son Altesse l'Aga Khan et la très honorable Adrian Clarkson.
Good evening, Your Highness, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start off by congratulating two of my fellow award winners. While our works are different, it's in fact different people in different parts of the world. But we share a core belief that in the ideals of pluralism. It is an honor and a privilege to be nominated as the 2019 Global Pluralism Award alongside with you. I founded the Center for Social Integrity back in 2016 and have been acting as its executive director ever since. The organization has grown quickly and now amounts over 70 people. Over 70 diverse, cohesive, passionate, and hardworking people. Pluralism is a fundamental principle of any democracy in which society accommodates and celebrates diversity. From the very beginning, my goal was to create a strong team which would embody the principle of pluralism, appreciations of diversity, empathy, collaborations, trust. Fostering pluralism within one's immediate circle is the very first step before promoting across the wider society. You need a diverse team and a cohesive team when you set out to tackle complex ethnic, religious, cultural issues. I'm incredibly proud of the work achieved by the Center for Social Integrity team, and this award is a real testament to the dedications of the center. Myanmar has been making world news a lot quite recently. I'm sure that most of you have heard about the exodus of 700,000 Rohingya people to Bangladesh in 2017, or the fact that the civil war in Myanmar is the longest running civil war of our time, 70 years. Most of the people in Myanmar have never seen the country at peace. Myanmar may be transiting to democracy, but its internal conflict, aggressive nationalism, discriminations and hatred toward religious minorities are still thriving. What some of you may not know unless you have had the opportunity to visit Myanmar is not that we have not always been a fractured nation. Acceptance of diversity and ethno-religious coexistence were once at the core of Myanmar communities. This award, this prestigious award, will support us to help to break down the vertical and horizontal barriers between the Rohingya Muslim and other ethnic people in Myanmar. The people of Myanmar need hope that change is possible and it is within their reach. This award gives us hope and encourages us to continue to build a pluralistic Myanmar. Thank you very much.
Fatima was determined to save the day. She was tired of people treating her like a child. I know what to do, she said to herself. I will save the day and be a superwoman. Just then, Grandma Eva appeared with her list of to-do things. She looked overwhelmed and tired. She stretched her hands in the air and sighed. How I wish God would send an angel to help me. This was the golden opportunity Fatima had been waiting for. She knew exactly what to do. She ran up to Grandma and said, "Hey, Granny, I can help you with that list."
Books for children provide windows into the world. When we have books for African children that show the continent and that are produced in ways that are exciting to them, then we're showing them your story is just as important, your story is just as valid, and why shouldn't that be the case?
Growing up, it was sometimes very difficult to identify with some of the characters or the experiences or situations in books that I read.
When children grow up seeing themselves represented in books, there's incredible research that shows that they learn better, they grow better because they understand those stories. So imagine a child growing up in rural Ghana in a place without electricity, and the book that she's given is Snow White. So half the lesson will be spent explaining to this child what snow is, and the concept the teacher could use, which is like, oh, ice, the village doesn't have electricity, how do you explain ice?
I remember my first book I read, written by an African writer. I saw on the cover page an illustrated boy, black skin. When I flipped through, I saw that, well, this was written by Misha Kasari, a Ghanaian author, and he had won so many prizes. Until then, I never knew that a black person could also write books like that.
I realized that there was a bit of a gap, and the gap was in the area of literature for children, children's books particularly, because I had grown up mostly reading books that were published in the UK or from somewhere else.
When children see themselves in the books that they read, it's kind of like boosts their self-confidence.
We cannot say that it is impossible for us to produce our own books and for those books to rival some of the best books in the world. The African continent does not have a shortage of stories. It certainly doesn't have a shortage of writing, talent, or of creatives. The only thing there's a shortage of is opportunity.
Writing your flashback in a different point of view or verb tense can also help distinguish it from your main narrative, helping to avoid confusion. And that's the big thing, really.
I met Deborah 6 or 7 years ago in Singapore. We'd both been invited to talk at a conference there called the Asian Festival of Children's Content. And when I met her, I was very struck by her wonderful energy and focus. And she told me about Golden Baobab. What is unique about it is that it's seeking to support and mentor and grow authors and illustrators based on the continent of Africa, for readers on the continent of Africa, as well as for readers worldwide.
Sometimes you might have difficulties connecting with other writers, knowing about opportunities, for instance. The workshop and the opportunity I saw in it was essentially about learning the craft of writing, whether it's building characters, whether it's working on settings, dialogue, and how you can use them as an author to good effect.
We, the illustrators, telling our stories, not just to Ghana, but the world. Golden Baobab helps to really bring some of the dreams or ideas into fruition. She's not one of those people who starts and then stops and then starts and then stops. She's literally been working on giving African writers and illustrators opportunities.
In terms of pluralism, what those opportunities achieve is us creating a more inclusive world because our children's literature becomes more inclusive. And by so doing, the windows that children grow up looking into is more inclusive. a continent like Africa that's so diverse, so different from one tribe to another in one country and from one country to another 54 countries. I mean, the wealth of stories, the wealth of ideas to engage with, the wealth of different people's realities to appreciate and love. And if we can bottle those up into beautiful stories, into beautiful books that children all over the world can escape into and fall in love with, for me, that's just a world that should exist.
I am honored to welcome to the stage the Global Center for Pluralism's board member, Princess Zahra Aga Khan. J'ai l'honneur d'accueillir sur scène une membre du conseil d'administration du Centre mondial du pluralisme, la princesse Zahra Aga Khan. Ms. Deborah Ahenkora will now be presented with the Global Pluralism Award by His Highness the Aga Khan and Princess Zahra Aga Khan. Le Prix mondial du pluralisme sera maintenant remis à Madame Deborah Ahenkora par Son Altesse l'Aga Khan et la Princesse Zahra Aga Khan.
Your Highness, the Aga Khan, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, the Global Center for Pluralism, fellow pluralism champions, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so grateful for the honor of this very important award, and I give God all the glory. 24 years ago, as an 8-year-old girl growing up in Ghana, I discovered that books had superpowers, and that through books, you could go on the wildest adventures to the farthest of lands and discover new people, new places, and books changed my life. I had a magical childhood full of books. Several years after my childhood, I realized one slightly problematic thing about the adventures that I would go on through these books. They often didn't have people who looked like me, and they were often not set in places that were familiar to me. They didn't have my music or my food. And when you consistently see yourself and your reality is not validated in the content you so voraciously consume, you really begin to question, does a little girl like me from Ghana not deserve to be a heroine in a book that can be loved by children all over the world? And that is the problem that my work seeks to address. For the past 12 years, I've established several organizations focused on this singular goal: to find and identify African writers, give them the support that they need, make connections to publishing houses and publishing opportunities, and create beautiful books. Over that 12 years, we've identified thousands of writers and inspired them to create stories. We've connected them to publishing opportunities, and we've recently established a publishing house of our own to turn these stories that we discover into beautiful books, and to come up with traditional and creative distribution ways to get these books into the hands of children across the continent and around the world. To date, we've seen incredible success, but over the next 10 years, we are hoping to scale that work, and we need allies to be able to do this. I am certain that in 10 years, it is possible to walk into any bookstore anywhere in the world, to walk into any library anywhere in the world, and to find beautiful African books that are captivating children's imaginations and sharing our beautiful cultures with the world. I'm grateful to my family who have supported me to date, to my husband and my little boy who give me wings, to the Golden Baobab board that has been with us through thick and thin. We've done our work through the scrappiest of methods. I started when I was a 20-year-old college student. I had no money, no experiences, but I was going to build a prestigious literature prize for an entire continent. And we've done it. And I think for me, that shows that individual choices and just the will to see the world be different can reap rewards and can reap change. So I'm so grateful to the Global Center for Pluralism for this award and incredibly honored. Thank you so much.
The war with the West sharpened the division of national identity.
The war finished 25 years ago. The bad memories are still present. Also, they're present in newspapers, in media.
Join them standing and express our appreciation for what they've done in Dayton and our hopes for the future.
Shadow of the conflicts in the 1990s that took place in some of the countries of the former Yugoslavia continues to play an important role. It's a dark shadow that remains over this region.
49,000 Muslims lived in...
Although we don't have any more formal combat conflict, we have still this need to reaffirm our identity.
We live in a society where different political parties and different groups, different ethnic groups are trying to promote their own narratives that are usually conflicting.
It wasn't an issue up until the 90s to which religion or which national minority or majority group you belong to. And I don't think that create a good atmosphere.
I see a lot of problems and a lot of issues in the educational policies and in the educational reforms and in the training of the teachers, because they are usually very politically influenced.
The existing history textbooks being used in this region are basically a ticking time bomb. They continue to share a narrative that is very one-sided, that is very nationalistic. It means that the young people who are coming out of the education system are not understanding how the different perspectives come together to create a better understanding.
And the students are very young, the new students, new generation, and we should raise up them in better way, critical thinking, attitudes, skills also, then they can build the better world.
LHH Network is a network of history teachers associations from 4 countries, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Serbia and Montenegro. These associations, together with Euroclio, implemented the project LHH, meaning learning history that is not history yet.
And it's a project where we try to tackle the subjects from a different angle, the subjects that are very painful from our recent history. That's the subjects of the war in the 90s.
Our main goal at the end was to create some kind of database in which we have included some, good examples of how we can teach the 90s.
Strengths of LHH project to the history educations are deeply rooted in the concept of multi-perspectivity, where you have different viewpoints on one historical phenomena, historical event, which are actually based on sources.
Only few historiography books you can find that are not written down in non-biased way.
So we are living in the world of alternative history, alternative truths, everything is alternative. And that's the big problem, and that's the point why this LH project is unique. We have sources, choose, think with your hand, do something.
From the very beginning, as a joint effort of whole region, countries that were involved in this or another way in the conflict could help new generations to open their eyes and to warn them about not being easily seduced by propaganda, by media, by manipulation. And learning history that is not yet history is a project that could help that.
It's important to develop critical thinking among the young generation, offer them facts, researches, and any alternative approach to this mainstream narrative. It's important to develop this pluralistic, multi-perspective approach.
I always wanted to be a history teacher. I wanted to be a teacher, and I think it's a noble profession. It really gives you the opportunity to change something, because you're working with kids, and everything that you give to kids is given you back.
Every and each day we are stepping forward. We are, strengthening our organization. We are strengthening our network together with our colleagues from Macedonia, Serbia, Bosnia. I can say that actually we are like a large family.
It's a transnational, it's a cross-border collaborative project.
Being in a network means that you can always check your way of thinking and what are you doing, because I think it's very important to get a perspective from the other side.
We're from other countries, other nationalities, other religion, other perspectives.
We are all generation of teachers, academics who experienced the war in this or another way from different parts.
It's really heartwarming, actually, to see people who are coming together to work on developing this pluralistic approach to history in the region.
It is years behind us of building the trust, building the common cooperation, the common language, and I think that's unique.
They live what they are preaching about by showing that they can collaborate beyond the borders and beyond the divisiveness of the society, and that they can still sit by the same table and discuss in a constructive way very contested and very challenging elements and very difficult and sensitive issues of the history teaching. It's a living proof that such a collaboration is really possible.
I think that the mission of LHH is to show that multi-perspective approach to teaching of the recent wars is possible. And it's possible to show human perspective of the war, to pass the message that universal values like peace, cooperation, multiculturalism, it's important to stress out. Even to show on these horrible photos and everything what we have in that workshop is that humanity is still possible.
I am honored to welcome to the stage the Global Center for Pluralism's board member, Dr. Huguette Labelle. J'ai l'honneur d'accueillir sur scène une membre du conseil d'administration du Centre mondial du pluralisme, Madame Huguette Labelle. The Learning History That Is Not Yet History Network, represented by Mr. Igor Radulovich, will now be presented with the Global Pluralism Award by His Highness the Aga Khan and Dr. Huguette Labelle. Le Prix mondial du pluralisme sera maintenant remis au réseau d'apprendre l'histoire qui ne fait pas encore partie de l'histoire, représenté par M. Igor Radulovich, par Son Altesse l'Aga Khan et Madame Huguette Labelle.
Your Highness, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and privilege not only to accept this reward, but also just to be here standing in front of you and having an opportunity to address you. To address you not only in my name, but in the name of the history teachers from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Montenegro, and Serbia. It is hard to express our gratitude and happiness, but still, I will try to mention at least a couple of details which I think may be important to all of you. For years, a group of teachers, mostly from the soil of ex-Yugoslavia, is involved in a common goal, and that goal is to finally use history as a tool for reconciliation in the region and not to create further damage. Because of that, we started tackling some certain historical topics which can be seen as controversial. Finally, we decided to go a step further and try to create a common approach on the period that for us is a history that is not yet history. One of the problems while discussing about this topic is that the post-war policy of our countries is not leading us to a reconciled and better relations in the region, but rather deepens intolerance and ethnocentric approach to treating the recent past. And that was one of the main reasons why we decided to give a new approach in which the history teachers in the region will finally have an opportunity to discuss about the recent war with their students without inflaming nationalism. If history is a life teacher, then we should certainly learn through the example of the war of the 90s that in order to hear the voice of the ordinary people, history teaching has a duty to empower the new generation with multi-perspective approach, because the war is the worst solution to any problem. War actually should not be a solution for anything. Having in mind what I have just said, I must admit that your support and this award is an additional tailwind which is showing us that we are on the right road. Hopefully, this will open some new door for us, especially in the region, because if you realize the importance of our work and our willingness to promote pluralism, then there is no reason for others not to do the same. Once more, we are truly thankful, and we will try to justify your trust in our goals. Thanks you a lot.
And congratulations to all of the winners of the 2019 Global Pluralism Awards. It is now my pleasure to invite all the recipients to stand for a group photograph. Félicitations aux lauréats et à la lauréate du Prix mondial du pluralisme 2019. J'ai maintenant le plaisir d'inviter les lauréats à se lever pour une photographie de groupe. The chair of the award jury, the Right Honorable Joe Clark, will now make closing remarks. Le président du jury du prix, le très honorable Joe Clark, va maintenant prononcer le mot de la fin.
Your Highness, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the new Secretary General of the Global Pluralism Organization. I noticed that each of the three award winners at one point in the ceremony, walked away and nearly forgot their award. I think that's one more affirmation of why they are here. They're not here for the awards. They are here for the work they do. And we are all immensely grateful for the work that they do. I no longer pretend with confidence that I can speak for others, but I have a reasonable certainty that most of us who are sitting in the room, people of some accomplishment, some ambition, some courage, some initiative, couldn't help but marvel at the work that has been done in the most difficult sometimes, the most unthinkable of circumstances by these award winners, all 10 of them. And one has to say, Mayor Nenshi, who sat on the awards committee with me, would agree, there could have been another 20 or 30 or 40. These stories are extraordinary. And what is interesting is how little most of us know about them. This is a world in which we're highly interested, but we're also deeply ignorant in terms of some of the dynamics that work and that have to be faced. And you and your colleagues who are doing similar work in a wide range of fields across the world remind us of just how much remains to be done and how many extraordinary people are changing circumstances step by step and issue by issue and book by book. And we want to thank you. Comme vous le savez, pour ce 12e cycle de prix, nous avons été ravis de recevoir 500 candidatures de 74 pays, soit plus de double des candidatures pour le prix de 2017. À une époque où la xénophobie et le populisme sont en hausse, où les pays du monde entier se retirent de la coopération internationale et les gens se tournent vers les débats qui divisent l'opinion et qui attisent la peur, ces 10 leaders nous inspirent. These recipients, of course, are part of a much larger global network of pluralism leaders, thousands of whom are not known or recognized for their work and who are doing extraordinary things in local communities. We are very grateful. But I want, if I might, end on a Canadian note. We Canadians are both proud and conscious of the fact that this Centre for Pluralism is here in Canada because His Highness the Aga Khan chose Canada. He did not choose us for our weather. He chose us for our purpose, our respectful and popular and pluralist purpose. I'm sorry to say this of a neighbor, but fair comment. A defining difference between Canada and the powerful republic to our south is that they were formed to break away from the values and traditions of an old world. And we were formed to transplant those values and that learning in a new continent, and then to draw upon the indigenous wisdom that was here and the values that continued to come to our immigrant country from all societies. That is the Canadian distinction. More powerful than our economy, the crux of any good example which we may be able to offer to others. In celebrating these outstanding winners tonight, we are also reminding ourselves of our purpose and of our obligation to ourselves and beyond ourselves. The award winners will be here for a little longer tonight. They would be very pleased, although some of them are surprisingly shy with no reason. They would be very pleased to meet with you and to talk to you and to learn about you and to help you learn more about them. I hope you will all take the opportunity to do that before the evening is over. And let me once again thank the Center, its staff. We often underestimate the work of the people who make these organizations function. The staff that has been here has been extraordinary, and their leadership, from the board to the Secretary General to Your Highness yourself. This is a life-changing, a perspective-changing initiative that is being taken by the Global Center. We are in everyone's gratitude. I meant to say, I repeat it now, how grateful both Naheed and I are for the opportunity to have served on the jury and to have worked with an extraordinary array of other jurors. Thank you for your attendance tonight. Thank you for your continuing interest in the Global Center and in pluralism. And let us all consider how we can take what we have learned tonight and apply it to the work that we do at home and abroad and to the perspectives that we bring to our problems. Thank you.
Please remain seated for the departure of His Highness the Aga Khan and Secretary General Mrs. Meredith Preston McGee. Veuillez demeurer assis pour le départ de Son Altesse l'Aga Khan et de la Secrétaire Générale, Madame Meredith Preston McGee. And this brings to a close the Global Pluralism Award ceremony. Thank you so much for being with us this evening, and we hope you will join us again.